Happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to another night of racing here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Yeah, we got plenty of snow here earlier on the day, but doesn't seem to affect anything too much out there. Little, it's not too cold. A little bit, I think it's a little bit mild out there, given the time of year. But the snow seems to have melted. The track seems like it's in fairly good condition. And alongside me is going to be my co-host, the Hall of Famer Randy Waples, and I was kind of slowly waiting just keeping my eyes open, my ears open, just awaiting any possible cancellations just in case.
It wasn't good weather there
No,
for
it
a
wasn't.
while,
No.
eh? I mean, I got lucky last night there. By the time I got to Guelph, there was really no snow going. But I was talking to Chad on the phone. He had to go all the way to Elmira, and I think he was just getting into it. So I'm sure he had kind of a interesting drive. Then you wake up this morning and all the nasty old snow.
Yep.
Yuck.
Yep. I do not, like I said many times, I do not like snow whatsoever, but we got hit with a little bit in the city, but again, it melted relatively quickly. The one benefit when it does snow is that, again, the temperature is not too cold.
Right.
It was fine out there.
Yeah.
Didn't need to bundle up whatsoever.
No.
It was fine.
It's just annoying.
It is annoying.
Yeah.
It's pretty when it's Christmas time. Don't care about pretty. I just like to be in, good standing. I like to be nice and warm, and I just like to avoid anything that can slow me down.
Yeah, it's pretty when you snowmobile too. I used to be a big snowmobiler, so I used to love, being way up top somewhere, 12:30, 1 o'clock at night in the morning or something. You could see all the stars because there's no lights and that. And I used to really, really enjoy the snowmobiling. But if there's nothing to do, skiing, snowmobiling, ice skating, then it's horrible.
Yeah, we were kind of keeping an eye out for last night just to see if the snow was going to start maybe coming down hard.
We lucked out.
During the card. We did luck out, which is always nice, especially when horse people have to obviously ship in and out, especially with the people who have to make far trips, right? Because it's never easy, obviously, having a truck and trailer, having to, go obviously a long, long way, especially in some brutal weather conditions. But last night, I really liked the card coming into tonight. I thought I saw the ball pretty well. I thought you saw the ball pretty well.
You gave out what?
A couple of decent winners.
No, but you gave out the opening pick five.
Early pick five, yeah, $16 cost. I believe it paid $350 for a buck or something around those lines. But some really good races, including a open pace that we were looking forward to. That was the Evans Legacy Open Pace, and I'm a little bit of a dicey finish there, though, right? I mean, Tarasi worked out a pretty good trip. It looked like he was going to get the job done comfortably, and hooked wheels. But remember the Alamo, who was on the lead yet again, but that was going to be a similar kind of effort from last week, right? Tarasi going by until the wheel hook. Judges made the right call, in my opinion.
I think so. Yeah, I think that it was. It's unfortunate there for Tyler because, I mean, he did a good job. It looked like he was going to get the job done. But, right here, boom, Doug's hooked on. And, I mean, and it threw Tarasi off balance, too. You could see it. It did affect him. Then he starts coming forward again. I've been in both of their situations. I've been in Dougie's situation and I've been in Tyler's situation, and neither one of it is good. Right here, boom. Now they're hooked, and you can see him. He's dragging them basically sideways, trying to get away from them. So, it's just unfortunate. You never want to see somebody lose a race that way, and, it's just he'll come back and fight again next week.
It looked to me like Tarasi was going to go by anyways,
I think
personally,
so too.
right? So
Personally, I
regardless
agree.
of the hooked wheels or not, it looked to me like Tarasi was going to get the job done. So a nice field there. Unfortunate, obviously, the inquiry resulting in not resulting in that blanket presentation because they had to wait, obviously, for that result to fold. They had, it was, about a 5 to 7 minute wait for that inquiry to be made official. So I'm unfortunate for that, but still a good showing for some of our open pacers. Brew Hanover never quite looked like himself, to me.
I honestly think it turned into a sprint,
Okay.
and he had to race in against two horses that are maybe number one. I think Tarasi's a better sprinter anyway. I think he can get into quick gear faster than Brew. I think next week, my guess is that we're going to see a road show with Brew Hanover.
Okay.
I think they're going to put him up on top, let him get tired, and see where they're at.
Yep.
That would be my guess anyway. I just think that he had two horses ahead of him. He's just came back from the wars. He did nothing last week. James was easy on him. They clicked it into high gear real fast, instantly, and those two sprinters, got away from him. Like I said, I think next week James going to roll Mr. Brew Hanover on out of there, and then it's not going to be a sprint.
See, to me, I honestly thought, given the trip, given the ability, and what we know Brew's capable of, especially what we saw throughout the course of this year, I feel like sprint or no sprint, I feel like he should have converted off that trip, personally.
Listen, I mean, a lot of people would look at it that way. I don't see anything wrong with your opinion that way. I'm just saying that he's a big horse that's been away from the races. That's the big thing. You know, not that Tarasi hasn't had some time off too, but not as much. Brew Hanover's been gone for a few months. He's a big horse. He's going to have to get that, you know, that sprint back into his system there. Tarasi hasn't been gone that long, and he's always been a sprinter. And as for Remember the Alamo, I mean, that horse, he's all sprint.
It's pretty amazing, though, that Tarasi still offered 6-1.
Unreal.
In that effort. Given that he got the job done last time. We knew Brew was going to take support.
Yeah. Like, do you feel like...
It's amazing. Like, between Remember the Alamo and Tarasi, and obviously Tarasi getting the job done fair and square.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that one was, even money or 4-5, and the other one was 6-1. I find that remarkable.
It is absolutely remarkable. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, but Tarasi, for whatever reason, we jump on his bandwagon very, very quickly, and we can get off his bandwagon just as quick. It's weird there how it works for him.
He hit a little bit of a lull period there.
Yes,
I don't know if it was because he was racing poorly. I don't think it was racing to the capability that we know he's obviously accustomed to here on the circuit, but I just think it was one of those things where maybe some of those other rivals were just maybe taking or maybe we're just a notch above. Like Brew Hanover was just like way too sharp for everybody else.
True. But and then this is probably going to sound really foolish to people out there, but in my opinion, I think Tarasi was going through a growing spurt.
Okay.
I truly think he was going through a bit of a growth spurt, and it just had him sore everywhere. Nothing that a trainer could tack down, like fix the problem, and nothing that would keep him away from the races. Just kid sore almost, you know, and that's kind of the way I looked at him. Now I think he's kind of gone through his little bit of a growth spurt, and now we're getting the Tarasi back
It's
again.
funny, though, because for a stretch over the last couple of years, he has that little bit of a hitch to his pace. And I think he's looked smoother the last couple of starts.
Saying.
So, yeah,
I think it
makes sense, too, because he looks a lot smoother.
Way
with the way
smoother.
He goes around the track.
He's smoother now than when he first came up
I agree.
here.
Yeah, I do agree, but he still has that speed regardless.
Oh, yeah.
He's always been able to maintain
Definitely
that without a doubt. So, that was a look at last night's action as well, and we're going to have a open trot here. That's going to be our feature event. We'll get to that momentarily, but we're going to kick off the card here on the trot. Race number 1, a field of 9 going postward here. It's going to kick off that early pick 5 sequence. 8-5 on the current favorite, Top Mast, who hasn't been a factor over his last 2, but he is plummeting in class tonight, Randy. So by virtue of that, I do think he's going to be a contender. I know there's a horse in particular that you've always been a fan of, and you've backed him on multiple occasions this year, that being My Friend Jose. Curious to know if you went his direction tonight.
I did. And I'm taking it you went Top Mast?
I did go Top Mast.
Yeah, I got Top Mast in for third. I mean, it all going to boil down to what JD does off the gate, right? If he comes out of there with him and the horse is good to go, then, I mean, you can pretty well write the check. This is a pretty quality horse there. But he has had some time off. He's come back with the 2 starts, and at neither point have I seen anything on the end of those starts where I thought to myself, ooh, next week I'm going to jump all over him. So I actually got him in for third. And but My Friend Jose, that's a different ball game I think that we're dealing with here. Now, first off, Trevor Henry won't be here tonight. That was some scary moments for me because I really do like this horse tonight, and I love him when Trevor is driving him. I love when Trevor's driving anything that I'm picking, but I especially love him on this horse. But he is going to pick up a guy that I am more than capable, happy with, and that's Louis Waugh going to pick him up. So let's look at the replay from November the 16th. Now, this one, they race him from off the pace. If anything, you'd say, maybe he wasn't in the best of position, but he fires home big time and almost gets the job done on all gas, no brakes. But next week, he's at the half in 55-4 with multiple moves, and I think that half is what did this horse in. I just think he had no answers after that, and that's why we seen that third quarter or last quarter in 31 seconds. First half in 56, back half in a minute and change. I'm hoping that they reverse these things around a little bit. He doesn't necessarily have to cut it, but if he wants to cut it, that wouldn't bother me. So this is November the 16th. The last time that Louis Waugh drive My Friend Jose. And Louis, he elected a different way. He didn't have to go up to the front. He didn't want to, overdo it. He races them from, in amongst them. And, this is a good effort by this horse here. And I think that if he actually came back with the same kind of an effort tonight, maybe stick close to Tactical Strike, let her do most of the work, I think he can pull off the same stunt. And trust me, it gets better. Look at this now. And then it's going to get even better. Like, he almost gets the job done, and on the run out, he does have the job done.
And what was the difference there in that event? It was the final turn, right? Which is always the difference there for my friend Jose. He labors on that final turn, and when he's racing off the pace, that's just something that kind of hinders him, right? He loses a length or two off that final turn without a doubt, and that was the difference. And while he did get parked, and it was a tough trip last time out, I think Billy just tried to move him early on. I don't blame him for trying that, right? They were rolling.
Yeah, that's the only, I think
the thing.
I think he got moved into a hot pace.
He did get moved into a hot pace, but at the same time, when you know the horse has that cork and he can't really handle that final turn all that well, you want to try and take position early on in the mile. You don't want to have to move him on that final turn because that's not going to help. He'll put forth a good effort, but I don't think that's going to help whatsoever. So for me, I think Billy was just in a damned if you do, damned if you don't position. But like you said, really, really hot pace. Now, for me, I want your thoughts on this because while he did move him on a hot pace, I don't think he was moving or trotting as swiftly as I've seen him in the past. I don't think he looked, I don't want to say not quite as comfortable, but he didn't move with maybe the swiftness that I know he's capable of trotting with last week.
Yeah, I mean, I thought everything was good up till the half.
Okay.
I really did, or I wouldn't have went back to him in here tonight. And the other thing we're getting with him, too, you know, he's staying down into this non-winners of 6,000. I know he's been down here in his last two starts, but the first start at this class, we just showed you that replay. He was amazing. Then his next start, he goes out into this class, gets bet down to 80 cents on the dollar, makes multiple moves. And, you know, like I said, I'm not saying that it was a bad drive. I'm just saying it's a drive that didn't work out for this horse. So hopefully tonight, because he's going to have to be on his game. If Top Mast is on his game, write the check.
Yeah, and obviously
Ship the chips.
I think Tactical Strike, you mentioned her. I think this is one that has some ability. I think this is one that definitely has an opportunity to play the role of upsetter here. Steamer, I thought that was a solid effort for Sid the Kid, who really, I don't think anybody was beating on that particular day, and he's taken a slight dip in class. I wouldn't discount his chances in this opener as well.
I wouldn't discount him. I threw him in for fourth,
Okay.
and the only reason that I kind of got him down a little bit low as fourth is because of the rail.
Yep.
He does have the rail. He hasn't made any mistakes, but he's got away one time. He got away third, but that was down in the non-winners of 2,500. They weren't going out of there a whole lot. They went a first quarter in 27 a bit. Last week they went 27 flat, and he gets away fifth. And to me, that's a little bit of a no man's land for Steamer. You know, he's either going to have to come first over or stay in, and I don't know if I like him either of those two ways.
I think you got to be really pleased that you're going to be picking up Louis Waugh. You mentioned Trevor Henry getting along with my friend Jose. He drove him for an extensive period of time, has done some good things with him, knows the horse really well. But Louis Waugh, after that replay that you showed, he guided him in that second place effort 2 starts back. So you have to feel like he's going to be even more familiar with this gelded son of Father Patrick. There's our thoughts on the opener. We're going to move on to race number 3. That's going to kick off that early pick 4. We've got a field of 9 going forward in this pop-up series here. Going to get another chance to see the likes of Ginger Tree Finney, who returned here to the big track in Ontario after a stint at the Loop. I really thought this 7-year-old gelded son of Captain Treacherous' last effort was a solid one. Anthony Hahn doing the driving duties there. Going to hand the lines over to James McDonald here this evening. And, you know, obviously the support's going to come with it. I think this is going to be this horse is likely going to go off as the favorite, or at least the second choice in this spot. And a lot has to do with his effort and the fact that he's picking up James McDonald. But I'll be honest, Randy, I really like him in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Captain Treacher, sort of a Western ideal mare. So right away, he I love him. And a $50,000 Harrisburg purchase as a baby. 7 years old now. Laverne Turnbull bringing another horse from out Western Canada. We've seen this story a few times. National Tier, a couple of other ones that he brought from Alberta. And this one looks good. I threw him in for second. Don't know nothing about him. Going to use him basically cold. I like the last the last effort too with Tony Hahn, but he didn't do anything in that race. You know, he stayed out of that 54 half, that early 26 quarter. You know, then they kind of came back to the field, a back half in 57 seconds there, and you know he stayed with them. So I think he needed that start. You know, had a little bit of time off, but I'm going to go roll him now. Did you send a replay in on Ginger Tree? Okay, so let's take a look at your replay here.
Yeah, and let's look at Ginger Tree Finney's effort again. I thought it was a solid one. You mentioned one didn't really do much work. I thought it was okay. I wouldn't say this is one that was raging with pace, but I think this is a horse that needed a start. I liked the November 14th qualifying effort. Was second to Bunkhouse Boss. I thought that he was moving really well on the end of it. You can see Anthony Hahn there right on the rail, fifth along the inside there. He starts to angle out and just finds that seam late in the mile. And you can argue maybe he should have gone by another horse there. He was a tight finish between fifth or sixth. I like the fact that he was moving forward. He starts to straighten this guy out at the head of the lane here, and he was moving forward. Like I said, a lot of these horses were sprinting pretty well, but I just don't know how he was from a fitness standpoint. I know he had that qualifying effort, but again, you ship to a new barn here. You get yourself acclimated back onto the big track. Just a solid effort. And now the fact that James McDonald is going to take over the lines, I think this horse is ready to go tonight.
Nice looking horse, no doubt about that. Also, you'd have to think too, double dose of laziness in this guy. He's a Captain Treacherous out of a Western Ideal mare, and you see that Anthony's got to chase him a little bit more than some of the other ones in there. So interesting horse. I threw him in for second. You pulled the trigger and put him on top.
I think the fact that he's had a few confidence boosters out at the Loop, I think that bodes well for him coming back here to Ontario. Obviously, his 2024 resume not the strongest. You could see 41 starts, did a lot of racing, just 3 wins. Now he's up that 3 times the amount. He's got 9 trips to the winner's circle this year. He's coming into this event off a solid
selections.
Effort. Yeah, and I think everybody just going between 3 and 6. Your top selection, Roland, is also going to be Garnet Barnsdale's a spot play here. Look, from a class standpoint, tough not to like Roland and I think you got to be loving the shoeing change tonight.
Loving the shoeing change. Going to take the work boots off. The flops are coming off, and the running shoes are going on. Aluminum in front for Rolleman here tonight. And I mean, this horse, if he's been dealing with sore foot issues, you can almost tell it by his lines that, something's been kind of nagging at him. And if it's sore feet, it takes it takes a very short time for them to get sore feet, and it takes quite a bit of time to get them to not have sore feet. So he's probably raced him a few times in these flops. Now he's ready to go. And like I said, love the barn that this one comes out of.
It makes sense because you loved him on October 10th. I remember I loved Rapasso on that effort. Rollum ends up getting the job done. I can't believe he went off at the price that he went off at, but he never looked comfortable. And again, to your point, maybe it is sore feet. Because I've seen him race plenty of times, as have you. And again, we know that he's got the speed. We know he lays over this group on class.
Yeah.
But he just hasn't looked, like you said, as comfortable. He hasn't been putting forth consistent efforts. He crushes that group, goes a tough trip and wins, and we don't see him for a month. I know he's a judge's scratch the start after, but again, we don't see him for nearly a month. Wasn't a factor last time out. Likely needed that start. But a couple of Rene Barassa starters. We know he's got a bunch of classy horses in his barn. They've dropped down in class, and you would think that they would take advantage of that drop in class. Not all of them have, though. That's the concern.
No, it is. It's going to have to be some work done with him. But I like the fact that he missed that time, almost a month. All over a month, actually, October 10th to November the 23rd, and one start under his belt, and Barassa's going to pull off the Kodiak.
A lot of positives, right? Back on a regular rotation, a good draw to work with, and the fact that he's got a shoeing change is something else to really love going into his effort going into tonight. That's our look on race number 3. We're going to move on to race number 4. It's going to be the second leg of that early pick 4. That's going to kick off the pick 6, and we've got a nice little carryover in this pick 6 sequence. Randy, just shy of $5,000, so a nice carryover opportunity going into the Sunday night program. A competitive field here to kick off that sequence. The morning line favorite is going to be the 4-horse Pemberton. He's going to draw a lot of attention with the fact that he's picking up James McDonald. Now, we've been fooled with this before because James McDonald has been aboard Pemberton in the past. The support has come in bunches, and he's disappointed. He's disappointed as the chalk plenty of times throughout his career. I think the only difference, given some of those efforts where James has picked up the drive versus tonight, I think he's a little bit sharper now than he was maybe in some of those prior efforts when James McDonald has been aboard in better spots.
Maybe a little lower in class, too, Just quickly, as John was alluding to, carryover alert tonight. So the fans out there of the carryovers, just so that you know, it picked up one person's ears pretty good there. You can see the John Rallis shadow coming out there, kind of like the Wyatt and Willie when he sees his shadow. Rallis sniffed carryover, and John Rallis has put together a pick 6 ticket that'll be coming out there tonight. So you might want to stick around for that bad boy, because you don't usually play the pick 6s.
No,
you are playing this one.
For me, it's a carryover wager. For me, every time
you like
it's
the
a carryover,
carryovers.
I love contributing and playing along. I mean, look, the wagering menu sometimes is so deep you can't dabble on everything. You kind of have to pick your spots. But anytime a carryover opportunity comes out, you got to chime in. I think we're going to get a pool probably of 25. I would say $25,000 to $35,000. I would say an estimated pool. You would think on the Sunday night program. So Hopefully everybody plays along, and hopefully that we find some success. I know you also provided a ticket.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
starting to love this handicapping thing, though, and putting together tickets.
You know something? I never thought that I would like the multi-tickets, but I do like them. I have to admit that they can be very frustrating at times when you hit the right one early in the sequence, and then you think that you're Goldensville about the third or fourth horse, and you get beat by a nose or something. That's pretty frustrating. I feel bad for those people out there. I'm glad that I won all the races that I was in there. I never frustrated anybody.
When you get beat by a nose as a driver, you still pick up a check. When I get beat by a nose in a multi-leg sequence, I get zipped. That's the difference.
That's
you know
a good
that,
way
right?
to look
That's
at that.
the difference.
That's a good
you might
way
get
to
a
look
little
at
bit
that.
less than a win check.
Yeah.
I get zipped.
Yeah.
So that's the heartbreak for us. So race number 4, though, we mentioned Pemberton as well. You mentioned the pick 6 sequence. Still some classy horses in this spot. Spartan General, where did you rank him? Because his effort has been really, really sharp over his last couple of tries.
Which horse is that? Spartan General in for second.
Okay.
And a lot of it's to do with the rail, John. Last time he had the rail, he got away 5th. You know what I mean? It's fifth's a tough spot to be. You know, third, I loved sitting third, but I wasn't, 4th, 5th. You got 2 choices: stay inside and probably get run over at some point, or have an owner or trainer disappointed at you, or move first over. It's a tough kind of a no man's land. So threw him in for second. Now Pemberton is going to be my top pick, and I elected to go back to October the 27th to show that replay. And this one is the last time that he was in non-winners of 9,000, which is what he's in tonight. He had the 10-hole the last time that he was in non-winners of 9,000, has the 4-hole to deal with tonight, and Tyler Jones was the winning driver that day. So let's take a look at the last time Pemberton was down in non-winners of 9,000. Tyler Jones had the 10-hole, elects to, kind of stay on the outside with him for a little bit, and then makes a big move on the end of it. James McDonald going to be picking this guy up tonight, back down into the non-winners of 9,000. So let's roll Pemberton here with Tyler Jones. Tyler must be vacation or down in Florida, maybe breaking colts with his dad or something like that.
I don't think he's in Florida, but I think he is on a bit of a vacation.
I miss him there. I like it's nice having him around. But look at the little nifty little steer he puts on with this guy. He's got he had a choice to make at the head of the lane, and I love the fact that he took the inside route. Like I said, my father never told me much about driving, but one of the big things he did say was, on a big track, when you get to the head of the lane, take a long, long look up the inside before you ever worry about that right line. And this is what wins him this race. Nice drive, Tyler Jones. Yeah, right down through the middle of them and gets the job done, picking up James in here tonight. There are some really, really nice horses in here. You alluded to that, but I think that he's just as good as any of them.
And that was first time Lasix in that outing, right? So he showed some wheels on the end of it, and I think he's continued to show some wheels on the end of it over the course of his last few miles. Again, a couple of horses in here that kind of struggle or labor with that final turn. Spartan General being one of them especially. Even Pemberton, he's not all that comfortable around that final turn. I think you have to try and trip him out at the head of the lane, because we've seen James have to move him first over. We've seen James kind of try to move to the lead. He's not all that responsive to when you move him early and try to cut that mile. Look, we said it. I said it, moments ago. He disappoints when he gets bet sometimes. And
sometimes he does.
There's a possibility that that's going to be the case tonight. It's why I couldn't go all in on him in any multi-leg sequences because of that reason. Look, last time out, he was the favorite, and he never really got involved. He raced well, just really had no shot from the word go. They got away on him, but he still raced well to be 4th. So if he's going to be a factor here, he's going to have to get a little bit closer. I want your thoughts on Perfetto. We spoke about class. I like the way that he was moving at the end of his mile last time out, because he showed a little bit of interest late. He never had a chance to get involved. If Dagvin elects to say, you know what, I'm going to leave out of there from the outside draw and maybe do something that maybe so many of us don't expect from an outside draw tonight, he could be really tough.
Yeah, he could be. I mean, I'm looking, you asked me a question, so I'm going to put on the horseman's cap there and try to answer that question. My way that I'd look at it is, you got Perfetto that is 4 lines down. He's got a win there for $16,000. He drops that $8,000 off. His last 4 starts, he doesn't have a dime on his card. So what does he drop down to then?
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, if he's inside post, an even easy bunch or something, yeah, absolutely race him, and maybe he will anyway. That's Dagfin for you. But if you're asking me what I would do, outside post, dropping a major line off in really, really tough, I think I'd go for the easy route.
Willow Time was one that we didn't expect that kind of aggressive approach, but he took support early. He worked on a nice second over trip. Now, maybe the fitness mile had something to do with it, and the fact that he didn't race in a month. But he was handled awfully aggressively. He worked out a picture-perfect trip. I was a little bit harsh on him because he should have passed more than one horse in that effort. He kind of hung a little bit to be fourth. Now, maybe he'll be sharper off a regular rotation, but again, just not a horse that I feel comfortable in backing in this spot. But he almost snuck up on us last time out.
He did.
Yeah.
Sneak. Oh, yes. It was a very, very sneaky little effort in there. No doubt about that. And also, Herb going to be losing Trevor on this one, but picking up a very capable replacement, Travis Henry, with Willow Time. So I used him in here for third. I think that he's every bit as good as anything in here right now. And like John was just saying, really, really just about blew one by the goalie there last week there, old Willow Time.
The middle of the gate past Sereno, Devil's Arch, I think those are two that obviously offer some speed in that race. And I don't know who's going to be showing speed, but I think those two might be. The only problem is those two just aren't on their A game right now.
Not right now. I thought Devil's Arch was for a little bit, you know what I mean? But just his last couple of starts, just really not on the A game. And that last one, you can really see that. Last quarter in 31 seconds.
All right, there's our thoughts on race number 4. That's going to kick off that pick 6 sequence. Again, a carryover of just over $4,600. We're going to move on to race number 7. We've got another trotting event here, and this is going to be our feature this evening. This is the Open Trot. Safe Conduct playing the role of a minor upsetter. Kevin Plaucher was the one who had him on top. A bunch of us going the direction of Logan Park. Hard not to go Logan Park's way, given the way he's been racing, especially at that effort in the FanDuel final. But there's no Logan Parks here. There's no Amigo Volos in here. And there's Safe Conduct off a sharp win with another favorable draw. How do you beat him?
I don't think you do. I think maybe in a couple of weeks, a few of these horses could beat him. And I think in a couple of weeks, if we get the return of few of those ones that John brought up, Amigo Volo, Logan Park, maybe they've shut him down. Gaines Hanover, maybe he might be back as well. I'm not 100% sure, but this race today, I say that it's Safe Conduct's race to win or lose. Middle of the gate again, much like he did last week. I just love the way that when this horse is in and Chris knows it, boy, does he drive him with authority.
He does.
Going to the half, what about Elmo on his back? Tried to make a remove. He stuffed him back in on his back. And I think he's just going to be racing him much the same this week. And even if he decides to race him from off the pace, I still think he can get the job done. So let's take a look at the replay for Safe Conduct. And, really nice bunch that he beat last week. And I thought it was a really, really nice effort for What About Elmo. Seems like he's fitting into Rod Boyd's barn very, very well. So let's take a look at Safe Conduct, his last start for Chris Christoforou Jr. and his wife, Camilla Christoforou. And like I said, he drove this guy with purpose. Jody's already vacated the hole, and he's going to come at him here. Nazy up the inside, but look who's coming off of Jody's back. That's Logan Park. And this is what I mean about Chris. Look how close Jody is to him right now. Wheel to wheel, almost nose to nose. But this is the separation. Greek gets into this horse and is able to easily hold them off. The only one that was laboring up beside him was Logan Park. He wasn't coming, on the run out. He wasn't looking like he was going to beat him. No Logan Park, middle of the gate. I say Safe Conduct. What say Mr. Rallis?
I say Safe Conduct for sure, and I think there's a sweep there, as you can see on screen. And I got a chance to speak to Chris after the victory. I congratulated him on the victory because, again, we didn't really see it coming. We knew he had the ability, just never. We thought Logan Park was going to get the job done because he was a razor sharp. But even Chris just said he's a horse that's really hard to kind of, if you start him up, if you want to cut the mile with him, you got to start him up and just kind of keep him going. But it's kind of hard to just grab up and sit a little bit. But he was expecting potentially Logan Park to maybe come up alongside him pretty hard. He didn't, and he realized, you know what, I just got to keep this guy rolling.
Yeah.
And he didn't go all that quick in that middle half, but he got just enough into gear where he was able to kind of fend off the cavalry charge late in the mile. I think now when you're looking at this race, if you're Chris, you got a middle of the gate draw, you can get out of there pretty aggressively. And I don't think anybody's going to be looking to cut this mile. I think he's the one who's going to garner the most respect in here. If he wants to get out of there and be aggressive with him and just keep on rolling, it's his race to lose.
Greek's driving doesn't slow down.
No, it doesn't.
You notice that? Hey? And he doesn't drive as many horses as he used to. You imagine when he was driving 10 a night? How tough he was.
Hey, but he surprises us once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Look, Market Banker, he scratched into a 6-0 last week. We weren't sure what he would do. We knew he had the gate speed. What did Greek do with him? He left with him, right? He was leading at the head of the lane, so he threw us a little bit of a wrench there, right? He did something that many of us didn't expect him to be doing. But I think you can say comfortably that he's going to be leaving with Safe Conduct. Again, take advantage of the opportunities when you don't have to take on the likes of the Logan Parks, the Gaines Hanover, the Amigo Volos, who are some tough open trotters here. But I tell you what, Safe Conduct, he really belongs I'm in the discussion with a few of those because this is a really sharp trotter, and Camilla and Chris have done an exceptional job of just developing this guy. Because, again, he's a staple here in this division when he's on his game.
He is, no doubt about that. Now, we do have a return of a horse there tonight there. I mean, I'm looking forward to this guy coming back there. Ghostly Casper, back in the house.
And I think he's going to appreciate being back on the big track. He was taking on some tough company at Yonkers, right? But I think he's going to appreciate the big track a little bit more, and I think he's going to really appreciate that longer stretch. There's a look at race number 7. That's going to be our feature race of the night, that $40,000 open trot. We're going to move on to race number 8 here tonight. Got a field of 9, more pop-up series action, and the morning line. We've got a field of 8, I should say. Tarkinnis Hanover is going to be scratched tonight. The morning line favorite is going to be Crazy World. That's the direction I'm going to go. I don't know if he's going to go off as the favorite per se, but I made him my worth a look play this evening because I thought he was okay at Flamborough. The fact that James elects to book off a couple of other rivals to go his direction, that enticed me a little bit. We talked about it over the last couple of cards. Sometimes we let drivers do the handicapping for us. Look, I mean, James going, we don't really see James drive for Kathy Chikeen or the Chikeens often. The fact that he's going that route, I think maybe speaks volumes that maybe he thinks this guy can make some noise tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's going that route for some reason, and the other thing that you kind of got to like about him, too, he's been beating, or at least he's been racing very good horses over there. He's been racing at the top class at Flamborough. And, so no giveaways there for Crazy World. And when he gets away from that top class, he's an automatic winner. Yep. So the only thing that scares me a little bit now that we have the scratch of Tarquinius, it's not going to be as bad. But he does draw the outside, so I'm going to take a wait and see. I threw him in for 3rd. Where I'm going to go with State One Smiley. I'm not done with this guy yet. I think that this guy is really starting to put together, a really, really good go since he's moved into Justin Turcotte's barn. So his second start for Justin, he was a winner. Now, the replay, his last start also, you can see he's going to be a winner in there. But before we show you the replay on him, which is going to be in November the 16th, to me, this was the, I guess you would say that this was the light that kind of went off, that you knew that this horse was not only sitting on a big effort, but he was getting good, getting a lot better, than what he'd showed up till then. So in this race, he goes off at odds of 37-1, John. And then when his next start, when he comes out with that win, goes off at odds of 3-1. So obviously there was something that went on. What went on in the exact same, basically the same class, $12,000 purse? I say what went on was this 3rd where he was locked in, and that we can show you that replay now. Look at the 2 horses that beat him. It's Major and Uncle Shank. If you take It's Major or Uncle Shank, put them in this race, you're looking at 1-9, and you're looking at a free square. So let's take a look at this one. Like I said, this to me was where, in Garnett's lineup, he says that he, it looked like he could maybe get a little bit better. He's using him in for 3rd. To me, this is what set him up. This is what was the trigger to me to put him on top in his next start. And like I said, you got 2 quality horses like It's Major and Uncle Shank, and then you got State One Smiley coming in here, and also loves to win races. 8 for 13 last year, 5 for 22 this year. So I'm going to go right back to State One Smiley.
Yeah, gaining on a horse like Uncle Shank, who we saw take on some horses dropping out of the Open last night. He took a lot of support too, right? So he's one that we know has the speed, one that has the ability. So a good showing by State One Smiley, who's a winner in 2 of his last 3 tries. And he definitely will be a main factor. And I might have gone a little bit light on him. I probably should have used him underneath. I feel comfortable about going with the 9, 5, and the 1. Look, you talk about horses that can put forth a pretty big effort. You have him underneath. I mean, Larceny, if he shows up tonight, look out.
Yeah. But something with Larceny, though, I have yet to see him race on the outside or chop a mile where I'm thinking, ooh. But I'll tell you what he does do, though, is if they head him down through them, and if he gets through, you're looking at a winner, because there's been so many times that he's only been beaten like a half a length in against way, way tougher horses than this, but he didn't get through. And that's the big thing that I think that you're waiting with Larceny, or I'm waiting with anyway, is he going to get through?
Yeah, you have to wonder what happened in that most recent effort, because he wasn't a factor whatsoever. That's not the Larceny we know coming home and choked. All right. So again, qualified, put forth a solid qualifying effort versus Write Me a Rose, and I think he's going to be good to go with a solid effort tonight. I used him in my multis because I think he's a horse that merits a lot of respect here in this spot. There's a look at race number 9. We're going to move on to race number 8, I should say. We're going to move on to race number 9. It's going to close out that that pick 6 sequence, I should say. We've got a field of 8, similar to what we saw last time out in this claiming handicap. I think it's going to be the usual suspects taking support, Randy. Vertical Squirt, HF Pan Shadow, Let's Get Rocked. Now, Vertical Squirt went off as the race favorite last time out. You and I both found that to be a little bit interesting, given the fact that the stablemate had been racing so well, HF Pan Shadow, who also raced well in defeat last time out. You really like Let's Get Rocked. You talked about the pulse advantage that he had on some of those main contenders. I thought he raced super, and we're going to highlight that effort last time out because he made a couple of moves in that effort, and he clearly had the most pace in that contest. I'm going to opt to go back to Vertical Squirt tonight because I think that he raced well. I'm just hoping that maybe he can get a little bit closer because I thought he still worked out a pretty good trip. It just seems like Let's Get Rocked worked out. I wouldn't say he worked out a better trip, but I would say that he had a little bit more to offer last time out. And we'll take a look at this effort because you really like Let's Get Rocked, who had to be used early on. Followed cover, and you didn't love where he was per se because the horse taking the bulk of the support, Vertical Squirt, was second over. You and I at the head of the lane, I mean, we both thought Vertical Squirt was going to be able to convert because we didn't know if Travis Henry was going to get out.
Yeah, that was the big thing.
And he found out. But how about the body language on Let's Get Rocked after being used once and finding a racetrack? Look at the moment. Who has the momentum right now? It's James. Tipping out on the far outside. And now look at Travis Henry tipping out. Again, a really, really good, a solid effort by both horses. But I'd have to give the edge to Let's Get Rocked here in this effort. When he was able to slip out to the outside or angle out, this guy had plenty of pace. And just another Cliff McGuire trainee who's razor sharp.
Yeah, and what you can kind of get with him, too, is that he doesn't need the helmet. He can come first over and win, and he can cut a mile and win, and I just think he's back on his game. He missed a little bit of time. There was some sickness, I guess, went on. He finished 4th on November the 2nd, and a tiring kind of 4th on the end of it. Not quite his thing, and then his next start, he comes out, and he scratched Judge's weather, whatever, and then he comes back on the 16th. So he basically loses 2 weeks. He finishes a good second in there to YYC on the horizon, but obviously you could tell on that race he was missing a start. He raced like a horse that was missing a start. Then he comes right back on a 7-day rotation, multiple moves by this Cliff McGuire trainee, and gets the job done. I'm coming right back.
I'm just hoping Vertical Squirt can work out a pocket trip. I don't know if that's going to be enough. I'm just hoping that's the trip he can work out because
He'll get paid.
Look, the moment that Let's Get Rocked passed him, it looked like he showed a little bit more interest. He didn't maybe tear off cover with the conviction that he should have given the trip, but as soon as Let's Get Rocked was able to pass him, you could see the interest kick into gear yet again. So Let's Get Rocked, I think, is going to be tough. Everybody going that direction on the board, rightfully so. HF Pan Shadow, it's pretty interesting to see what a week can do because everybody was on him last week, a bunch of us, but now they're going 4-7 this time out. So it's interesting what a week can do.
4 picks. 8 horse field. Tell me of your 4 picks that you didn't use, who could win the race? Because I think all of them could. I think this is an incredibly evenly spaced race in here.
Okay, interesting. Listen, I thought 4-9-1-1 raced pretty well last time out up the inside. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked under the right circumstances if he got the job done. I just don't see how Flying Art gets the job done. I just don't see how a horse like Brookdale Mickey gets the job done instantaneous for me. I mean, I can scratch out those 3 for me as winning candidates personally in this spot. I don't know what to make of Piper and Charlie, though. He's a bit of an unknown for me. He's got a good draw to work with. I think he's capable. I just think some other horses are a little bit sharp right now.
I threw Piper and Charlie in for the deuce.
Oh, you did, eh?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So there's a look at race number 9. That's going to close out that pick 6 sequence. Again, we've got a pretty nice carryover going into tonight.
Fantastic.
We're going to go over some ticket ideas later on in the card before that sequence begins. But the first sequence that's going to kick off the program is going to be that early pick 5. And Randy, you did say you've got a lot of singles with the course of the program, and you weren't kidding. 4 singles in this early sequence. All you need is to find a deuce on the floor, and you can play your ticket.
All we need is a toonie, John, and we're in business, So, yeah, here we go. It's going to be My Friend Jose. That's good. That's a tough single in that one. Job Hunter, I think, is a little bit of an easier single. In race number 3, I go Ginger Tree Finney. You showed that replay, and roll them. Going to the Aluminums tonight. Race number 4, Pemberton in there, and race number 5, Mr. Ibiza.
All right, a different approach there with me. I'm going to go 1-2-7 to kick things off here. I'm going to go 1-5. I think Job Hunter, obviously one that is in a good spot, good draw to work with. I think she needs things her own way, though. Again, so I'm not sure, but I think that Travis Cullen's Charge has been racing really, really well. My Only Sunshine. feel kind of bad leaving out Kira Silster because we know she's got the class to be competitive if she's on her game. But I'm all in on Ginger Tree Finney. I went 3 deep in race number 4. We talked about Pemberton. Just not one that you can trust comfortably. Maybe on some extra tickets, definitely single him because I think he's the one to beat per se, but just tough to trust. I'm with you. How do you go against Mr. Ibiza? I mean, the horse was... I mean, he had every reason to pack it in last week, and what did he do? He just kept opening up.
Yeah, the first win was impressive. The second one was even way more impressive.
He's a horse that's going to be razor sharp and is going to be a big-time factor in that pop-up series. There's a look at some multi-leg ticket ideas. Now let's look at some of our plays of the night. Randy, you're up first.
Okay, going to start off in race number 1. I'm doing the bookends, John. I got a play in race number 1 and a play in race number 10. So 1 is going to be my all-in, my friend Jose. And then we're going to move along to race number 6, and that's going to be Beat the Fave, and that's going to be My Last Kiss from the rail. Race 8, Waples Watch, State 1 Smiley. And race number 10, I'm going to do my Worth a Look, and it's going to be the return of Steel Wheel Hanover.
You tried to find some prices. I had a difficult time finding some prices on this Sunday night program. My spot play going to be Ginger Tree Finney, my all-in Mystery Ibiza. My Worth a Look Crazy World, even at a 5-2 morning line. I don't know how much support he's going to take, and my best bet is going to be Vertical Squirt. So a lot of James McDonald there on my plays board, but he's got another good lineup tonight, right? So just another day in the life of James McDonald.
Another day in the life of the world driving champion.
Absolutely. And we're going to look at some other plays of the night from our resident handicappers. Garnet Barnsdale going with Rollum. You're in agreement with him there. Better Be Flying is going to be Ghislaine Paquette's. Pay attention. He thinks Mr. Ibiza's got the possibility of getting upset there. All right, good for Ghislaine. And Sean Patrick Nolan, who's going to take over Nahu Picks duties tonight. He's in agreement with you, Randy. State 1 Smiley as a spot play, a horse that's razor sharp. So there's a look at some of their thoughts, and you heard our thoughts here throughout the course of some of these races on this Sunday night program. We're going to be on track as we get set to kick off this card momentarily. We're going to take a bit of a break, and Randy and I will be back to preview tonight's action.